Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Business with Christ podcast. It is great to be here. I'm Tim Babler.
I'm Kyle Hackbarth.
I'm David Vander Bloomen.
It is our pleasure to continue to provide this opportunity to speak with local leaders in business and faith and give an opportunity to see where the two intersect and come together. A lot of times we bring in a guest and get a chance to hear their story. And I think one of the coolest things about hearing people's stories is people listen to God speak and hear what his purpose is for their life. And we can ask the questions like, how did your background, your experience, and your upbringing lead you to where you are today? And generally speaking, it's usually in conjunction with a business they run, or a project that they have, or a conference, something like that. You know, there's something that's real and tangible. But I just love, we've gotten to talk to so many cool people, and there's so many more episodes, God willing, in the works. The reach beyond just our little corner of Wisconsin. It's been great.
Mm-hmm. It's overwhelming at times. Like when I get people in my office often and we start talking about it, it's amazing the conversations that go from business all the way to faith. I have a crucifix on my wall. Mm-hmm. That usually pushes something. But even recently I had somebody come in and we were going to talk about joining the chamber. He just started talking about his faith unprompted. I'm like, okay, Whoa. This is where this conversation's going. I love it. So it's amazing to see what's happened and what is going to continue happening. People we've been able to bring together has been pretty amazing. So, we mentioned in the last episode about how a lot of people are coming to this group as an invite. Mm-hmm. It's really cool to kind of see that invite tree come down. I mean, even Kyle, you joining us, it was because of an invite from an invite to another invite. It was just, you start going backwards and like, where did it start? And it's just, it keeps going. And now we've got people literally coming to this weekly event every first Wednesday of the month, 9 to 10 a.m. Various churches around the area.
Shameless plug.
A virtual option coming hopefully in 2026. We've got people coming from all over northeast Wisconsin. Some are driving up to an hour to come to that hour-long conversation. Mm-hmm. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awesome.
Kyle, your experience with Business with Christ as a group, like you had that invitation. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've talked about it before, but I think one of the most interesting things is I was invited by one of my clients. She knew about my faith journey and how important that was to me. And so she invited me to come to this event. And I'm like, oh, that does sound kind of cool. But I had 3 meetings on that day. It was literally 7 a.m., then I had one at 8:30, and then I had one at 9:30, and so I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Well, that night before at 11 p.m., I got a text message from one of the people saying, sorry, I can't make the 7:30 or 7 a.m. or whatever when it was. And then I got a text message at like 5:30 that morning, and then like 6:30 the next morning where all the meetings were canceled. And so I gave her a call. I'm like, I'll be there. And she's like, nope, I'll pick you up. And so we went there, and it was...
love that part.
That is honestly the best part, because I guess I'm going.
Yeah. But I think it's really funny, too, because I walk in the room, and I'm like the youngest person there. But it was cool to listen to, like, everybody talk about their different journeys with faith. And, like, it always comes back to God had a plan no matter what. Mm-hmm. And so there's always, like, I almost kind of like the game of it of, like, things might be going really, really well, and then, like, everything just kind of goes down, and then you're like, oh my gosh, where's my next step? And then God provides. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if you put all of your faith in him and you give everything to him, like, it's just amazing what can happen. And, like, so many people talk about that. And so, I've been to every event except 2 when I got a tire popped on my car, and then the other one, the grand opening of the company. But other than that, like, it's an absolutely amazing event to go to, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
Mm-hmm. And out of those original meetings came this podcast, which if you've watched our previous episodes, you know by now. And if not, go back and watch, because, wow, we have some great stories that have been told. And one of the coolest things is the partnerships. And speaking of partnerships, this podcast is proudly supported, and our presenting sponsor is James Marketing. We're going to hear from them now.
Running a business is hard enough without trying to keep up with every social media trend. That's where James Marketing Company comes in. Whether your brand is already crushing it online or you feel like starting from scratch, we meet you where you're at and help you get to where you want to go. From strategy, content creation to full social media management, we make marketing simple, effective, and built for your audience. We don't just post for you, we help you grow. If you're ready to reach more people, build real connections, and take your online presence to the next level, visit jamesmarketingcompany.com. James Marketing Company, marketing that meets you where you are and takes you further.
Welcome back to the Business with Christ podcast. Let's continue with prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be together and to be able to share stories, for giving us a place to speak openly about our faith and to have conversations that have impact beyond our own personal lives, but to get to see the kingdom impact that you are having through us and sometimes in spite of us. We ask that you continue to bless our conversations and give us the strength and peace that we need as we go about our days. We ask this in our Savior's name.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah. Today we are kicking off a little mini-series within the Business with Christ podcast that we're calling our Builder Series. So you'll notice that we don't have an additional guest with us today because we also have stories that are worth telling. Whether we believe that or not about ourselves, you know it is something that is a very good thing. So you know him, you love him, our fearless leader, David Vander Bloomen. You know him as you are the Chief Executive Officer
Yes.
of the De Pere Area Chamber of Commerce. And I still feel like that's just the beginning of your story. Mm-hmm. But there's so much that went into it of getting you where you are. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your background a little bit. And let's dig right in.
Absolutely. I grew up in De Pere on the west side. Grew up family of 4 kids, mom and dad. They still all live there. Very, very good upbringing. We were exposed to church things earlier on. My dad was getting involved in a lot of the ministries within the church, lecturing, and we were all mass servers and ushering. I ended up getting into music ministry myself come 7th grade. Wow. So we were very involved in our church. Eventually my dad became a deacon in the Catholic Church, so I've been around it a long, long time. So growing up, it was... I don't know. I went to Catholic school till 8th grade, so I don't want to say I was sheltered, but hadn't seen the world yet. And then high school came around, and eyes are opened up, and you start dealing with the real world a little bit. And I remember thinking that how do we do this? How do we get through some of the bad things that maybe we hadn't seen yet? And it's just I still stuck to that faith. And I loved my confirmation year, my junior year, to the point I eventually started teaching it once I was in college, So I always had that pull to the church. I went to St. Norbert College, and when I got out of there, that's when the job things started.
Right.
I started out as a music education major.
Okay.
I found beer and girls, though, freshman year of college, and that kind of went by the wayside, and got a communication degree. So I started working for the CBS affiliate in Green Bay right out of school as a photojournalist. That got me my first taste of community and telling stories.
Yeah.
It also got me my first taste to see what first responders do.
Sure.
After I realized I wasn't the pretty face on camera and you don't make any money in TV, ended up working for a guy in the promotional products space. I was doing videos for him. That company tanked in the recession, and he still owes me about $5,000. So I learned a lot that couple years. Still stayed in the promotional product space for a little while. And then I'm like, I want to be a cop. So dropped everything, went to the police academy, became a police officer. Did that for about 6 years, part-time for the most part. Mm-hmm. Again, community.
Yeah.
And that serving and that giving back and all those things that kind of came along with that kind of a job. And then I being part-time, I had other things. So I kind of stayed in the marketing world. Unfortunately, I got hurt as a cop. And this poor little old lady on New Year's Eve was speeding down the road. I stopped her, and I popped the disc when I got out of the squad car. So, but that was 2018. Things weren't great in law enforcement at the time. A lot of villainizing coming out with, people that wear the uniform, and a big blessing in disguise for me when I was told I could not do that job anymore. It was a Monday that I got a call from that city's mayor telling me I was too much of a liability from their insurance standpoint. I was mad. I had my day to be upset. On that Tuesday, the next day, I had my busiest day ever in my marketing business. I said, okay, that's all I needed to see. So I jumped 2 feet into selling promotional products and apparel. Telling stories was my favorite part. How do I tell somebody's story through product? And I mean, it was fun. The people I got to meet, I got to be the manager for the man that founded the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
No way.
I got to book him speaking gigs all over the world and hear him speak to everybody about how giving back is a form of marketing, and every group and organization has a mission and a message, and you take all that with, it's like there's something bigger. And eventually moved into an agency sales role. I got burned out, and I was kind of tired of the sales life, and this job fell into my lap. It was around that time. It was October of 2023. Burnout was hitting, and my prayer literally every night was, I'm done. Just put me where you want me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not running this show anymore. And come March, my predecessor put her notice in, and here we are.
How did you begin to be involved in the De Pere Area Chamber?
So I was asked to be, first, when I was a business owner, I joined as a member. But joining was kind of twofold. In the De Pere area, there's a brand new bridge going in on the south end of town. This thing's been talked about for 60-plus years, generations of talking. And I was asked to come back to the chamber and be part of a marketing committee that was going to gather community support for the South Bridge. We were going to help get this thing over the finish line.
Sure.
And so myself and one of the board members at the time, we decided, let's go meet with the mayor and see kind of how this is all going to work, get his blessing on it, and see how we could help him. We met with the mayor. He didn't know the chamber existed.
Wow.
So,
The mayor.
The mayor.
All right.
He thought we were absorbed during COVID by another organization in town. I said, well, that's a problem. Found out 2 other aldermen were also in the same boat. They had no clue we existed. So it was around that same time I was asked then to join the board of directors. We were informed that day that the bridge was happening. We don't need the marketing committee to do this work that we were planning on doing. Oh. So eventually I got asked to be on the board of directors, and that whole not knowing things kind of stuck with me. And so we determined as a board to create a government liaison position, which they gave to me.
Okay.
So I got deeper and more involved that way, between that and some ambassador programs to the chamber. And that's where I got my feet wet and kind of saw what this whole chamber life was about, the business aspect of it, and realized it was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, I could see myself doing something like this someday if the opportunity ever came along, and I didn't think it was actually going to come along. Mm-hmm. That was an absolute shock to me. So, but it wasn't my doing. I was upstairs.
Yeah. You say like this position fell in your lap, mm-hmm. but I think one of the things that I've learned about a new person coming into a role is it's not your job to emulate your predecessor.
No.
But it is your job to basically redefine what the company needs, what the mm-hmm. business needs, and what can you do to set the goals, set the vision, set the direction mm-hmm. in order to bring everything to the next level.
Yeah.
So day one, I mean, you started as interim, if I'm
mm-hmm.
not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And as interim, you don't want to do everything because it's technically not the full-time gig, right?
Exactly.
But what did you do in the interim to set yourself up for success? Or mm-hmm. if it would have been someone else, set that position up for success in the future?
So my 2 years on the board of directors working with my predecessor, she and I thought a lot alike when it came to storytelling and marketing and things like that. So she and I hit it off very well, and we had ideas. And due to financial reasons and just community things and lack of some engagement on our board at the time, we couldn't do a lot of that because we realized it was going to be me and her, and that was going to be it. So a lot of it got put on the back burner. Mm-hmm. And when she gave her resignation, I'm like, okay, do I do this or not? I hated the job I was at the time, so I'm like, okay, there's that. I'm like, I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love the De Pere community, having been from there. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is kind of the job description, So I did. I went to the board. I said, put me in as an interim. If we hate each other at the end of the year, we can go our separate ways. But if it's good, let's make it permanent. So here I am. It worked. I realized very quickly, though, that my predecessor laid a really good foundation, and our trajectory was starting to just go up.
Yeah.
COVID almost killed us.
Sure.
I mean, as a chamber, we're a small chamber. It just financially, it almost killed us. So we were still coming out of that, and she was how did it go? She was our third president and CEO in about 3 years.
Oh, wow.
We had a lot of leadership change, so there wasn't a lot of stability on that end. So when I took over, I'm like, I don't want to lose this trajectory. And that was part of my reasoning to the board. Like, I'll do this as an interim. Like, I don't want to start over again. You know, we've come too far. But I was able to take what she built and build on it. And it wasn't having to reinvent the wheel. It was just literally taking a lot of the ideas she and I had talked about and actually just finally doing it.
Sure.
Part of it, looking back, maybe I didn't have the right approach, but I kind of just started doing things to just do it.
Yep.
Like, let's see what sticks to the wall and what doesn't. But beyond that, it just the stuff that works, let's keep going, but then let's reevaluate. Even if something didn't work as far as attendance or the topic wasn't that great, fine, I don't want to scrap it. How do we make it better? I think I've done that my entire life from a fault. Like, how do we always get better?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of jobs. It's a joke in my house and with my friends. I've jumped different careers and whatnot. It all led me here. I'm thankful for it, but I was always looking for that next best thing.
Sure.
I was never comfortable. I was never happy. And now that I got into something where I'm able to make a difference in the community, I get to work with awesome businesses every single day. What better can it be? You know, so I'm excited to see where it goes. We're not done. There's a lot of building left to do.
Builders.
Yeah, amazing. There's that word.
Yeah.
What would you consider your biggest success story?
Ooh.
Put you on the spot.
I'm going to say two things, which actually leads to like 2.5.
There we go. There we go.
One of the first things I did was reach out to our community partners that we should have been working with for a long time, and we had not been.
Mm-hmm.
Our downtown district, we just hadn't had a relationship with them for whatever reason. You know, the leader of that group, she and I, neither one of us knew why. So, well, that's got to change. So we had lunch. We're fine. We're good. Let's work together. But the city was the other side of it. We have to be able to work with our city. I'm a firm believer that our downtown, our city, and our chamber, we're a three-legged stool. We need to be supporting each other. And then the community side, I just started talking about all the time. And I saw a membership increase with that. And I think when we start talking community and giving back and being involved, it doesn't matter if you're the massive corporation or the single business owner, you can make an impact to where your membership dues aren't just something you pay every single year. They become an investment into the youth initiatives we developed, our veterans initiatives, our faith initiatives, all these things that are mattering to people. It takes money to make it happen. So that'd be 1.5. And then this Business with Christ program has been our by far our fastest growing and most talked about offering that we've done. I think we've said it before, people didn't realize they needed it, and it's here.
So before you had this idea, which we've talked about a little bit, of Business with Christ, I mean, how has your faith journey played a role in your most recent career paths?
Finally giving in. Again, I taught confirmation all through college and into my normal adulthood, my career life. I taught it for 13 years, so I was in it all the time. Got married young. I was 22, I think, when we got married, so I wasn't out with all my friends, hitting the town hard in my 20s, and so I had that different perspective, and I was okay with that. I don't regret that whatsoever. But then COVID hit, and the churches shut down, and I got mad. And I remember, shameless plug, but I'm writing a book right now. I'm in the middle of it. It should be out this fall. It was about this day. It was the day after the election in 2020. So COVID's there. My guy didn't win. It's irrelevant in this whole thing, but the world hated each other. We were split so badly. I had lost a good friend because he blamed me for something with COVID because of my political affiliation. I'm like, I don't need you in my life. I shrunk my circle. So looking back, that was a deep depression. That was a lot of things that were just negatively going on in my life. And I just remember thinking, like, why? Why are we doing this to each other? And I went hunting. I went and sat. I had a spot in the De Pere area. I went and sat. It was a windy day. Windy day, like big time wind. I had a wooden box blind. I was about 4 feet off the ground. I was sitting in a marsh, And I just remember I was just praying. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Where do you need me? What am I supposed to be doing? What is my purpose here? I'm watching these trees, just massive trees, just bending. And all of a sudden, it was like an out-of-body type experience. All of a sudden, I'm looking at myself in my deer stand from a little ways away and watching these trees just bend. Loud and clear in my right ear, I heard a male voice say, "Be the wind." I'm like, okay. Don't know what that means, but all right. I went home. I didn't think much of it, but then it just started eating at me. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Be the wind. Like, you hear the be the change you want to see, blah, 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 cliche stuff. I'm like, be the wind. I'm like, what? I'm like, I went on years. And again, COVID, I'm mad at the church because they're closed. And I started falling away from my Catholic faith. And we stopped going to church. And we just didn't care. And then it's like, okay, I'm miserable. I'm not happy. I have 2 kids that should be going to church, being raised this way. And I'm like, things weren't good. Again, depression and everything else, I guarantee that was part of it. And things were just getting bad. And I hated my job. I'm burning out. And that's where I said, put me where you want me. Like, I'm tired of asking. Looking back, I had a lot of signs that I should have just been paying attention to. And this job came into play. And then, so I found that happiness from a job side. And then as things started growing, I'm like, okay, there's still something here. But there were days I felt like I'm kind of faking this. Like I'm talking all and saying they're all the right things. But internally, I'm like, I'm not good. It was May 7th of this year. It was actually my son's birthday. And I was just at a loss. I don't know what I want to do. Is this the right job for me? Am I doing the right thing as a dad and as a husband and all these things? And so at our church, we have a 24/7 Eucharistic adoration chapel, and the Blessed Sacrament is in there. And I went there. I just had this pull to go pray, and so I did. I went and sat down, and I'll release something here I haven't said publicly, but I'm sitting there because I had been discerning: do I look at becoming a deacon in the Catholic Church? And it's been something that had been kind of pulling at me. So that was also weighing there. People would say stuff that I'm like, I got to look into this a little bit, right? And I sat in this chair, staring at the Blessed Sacrament. I'm like, put me where you want me. I'm done. Put me, where do you want me? And so I left there, and I'm driving down Suburban Drive, and I get to the stop sign at Grant Street, and the car in front of me is our pastor. I'm like, okay, well, there's a sign. And I was going back to my office. I skipped that. I went out to the Shrine Champion and did my first confession in 24 years, and it was like 1,000 pounds just lifted off my shoulder. Wow. I had a renewed rejuvenation of just energy and, okay, this is working for whatever, and like, how do we keep building on this as a career, and what else can I be doing? It's just what's next? Like, how do we do this? And I did decide that I will be pursuing the diaconate, and it's a couple years down the road, but where does that go? Where does this all fit together? Long story short, coming back to the community side and this job, that's what it's all about. So I decided this year that anything we do as a chamber must check the community box and the connection box. Yeah. If it doesn't, we're not doing it. It's so much deeper than business, and that has been proven time and time again with every single type of event that we've been offering, whether it's our youth or our veterans or our faith group or our networking, you name it. It is going so much deeper than just business. It's relationships. That was more than you asked for. Sorry.
I'm speechless.
That's actually exactly what I was asking for. I just didn't know I was asking the question. I think back to your story in the tree stand, and seeing what the wind can do, and making the trees bend. Whew, these massive trees.
Unbelievable. Physically, these trees are just bending.
Yeah.
And that just kind of showed me, and that's the premise of the book I'm writing. It's called Be the Wind.
I love it.
It's Be the Wind, leading with faith,
Spoilers.
experience, and common sense. Yeah. But the stories I'm writing in there, it's like I have had a lot of jobs. I've had a lot of these different experiences. As insignificant as they are compared to some famous guy out on the internet, whatever, they might matter to somebody. So that's my calling now, is to tell some of those stories and let people not make the same mistakes that I did. I just wrote a chapter today about having a bad employee who almost tanked my company. Let's talk about that. That's draining. The whole chapter is about how we have noise in our life, and it's good noise or bad noise, but on the opposite side of the bridge from the waterfall, it's quiet. can still hear the noise a little bit, but it's not as loud. So how does that work from a daily business life? How do we limit that noise and actually be able to use that up and down volume arrow to control what we're doing every single day as business leaders with our teams and our coworkers and our clients?
You've mentioned, I mean, you have countless meetings, people coming into your office, and sometimes they go very differently than expected. And yes, there's a crucifix on your wall, but what is it about you and the way you present yourself that you think allows people to feel comfortable opening up about their faith with you?
I listen. It's what it comes down to. I have a loud mouth and I use it, but I'm proud of finally realizing when to shut up and listen. And when somebody comes in, they want to hear about the chamber, which is, I'll brag about it all day, obviously, but I want to hear about them. I want to hear their journey. I want to hear why they started their business. I want to hear why they do what they do at home with their kids. The trinket and the service is amazing, but I care about you as a person. But that's part of the message. That's part of the journey. I think that's some of my marketing background coming out. You can't tell a story if you don't know it. So I sit and listen. I ask questions. Majority of the conversations revolve around them for an hour, and then we might talk a little chamber stuff. But then it's those little buzzwords that you start hearing about. Oh, I went to church, or my family did this, and it's something faith related, and I just jump on it. I was at a meeting the other day. He's looking at joining, and I'm sitting in his office, and it was just one of those, like, you knew it was going to be a really cool meeting for some reason, but it hadn't gotten there yet. It was just the formalities. All of a sudden, we're in his desk, and I see a prayer card on his desk. Then it opened up. I didn't even start it, but he saw me look at it, and that's when it started being talked about. That's all it took.
Yeah.
He had a prayer card on his desk. It's like, okay. I had somebody come in the other day that, they wanted to learn about the chamber. We're going to help them start their business up a little bit with some resources and whatnot. And first thing, I have pictures galore in my office. I'm a hoarder when it comes to pictures and books and things like that. He sat down, he looked, tell me about your family.
There you go.
We didn't talk business for an hour and a half. It was all family. And then we had a second meeting. We talked mostly about family and faith. And his business is faith-based.
Wow.
It just turned into something. It's like from a meeting. Just amazing. Just got to listen.
We've heard a little bit of the story before, but after this short break, we're going to hear about the origins of Business with Christ and how it played a role in the faith community in our De Pere area. For now, we're going to hear from last week's episode. We heard about this company called Serve Inc., and we're going to learn a little bit more about them now.
The idea behind it is that once you know what they're doing and you know who they are, first of all, you know God loves you. We're going to lift up what's working. We're going to tell you what's happening in the community that is important to do, or something that just needs some support and love.
We don't use it really enough. And when we do use it, it seems like we use it as a procedural thing. When we think about the prayer that we would all know. If we said, let's pray the prayer that we all know, the common prayer, we'd all just start saying our Father, right? In the King James Version. As a procedure, hoping that we get results. When in fact, prayer should be this act of submission and sacrifice.
And then we do a lot with shelters and group homes, veterans. So we always keep our ears open to whatever needs might be happening anywhere. There's always something to do and something to prepare. I've been watching
right? I'm just gonna say it right now. We're not doing a home shelter. Okay, so thank you, Pere, right? But really the inspiration or the reflected.
someone dubbed our environment at Giving is Good, people enjoy. And it was made into a plaque and it hangs in our place.
Welcome back to the Business with Christ podcast. David, one of the things that has come as a new initiative in the Chamber throughout the course of the past 12 months is Business with Christ.
Yeah.
And the reason we're here today doing this podcast, the reason that I met Kyle, the reason I met a ton of people at the Chamber, as we mentioned earlier, where did this, give me the origin story.
Yeah. So April 4th of last year was our very first events awards banquet for the Chamber. I was 3 days into the job, got home, my dad was watching the kids, and we enjoyed our drinks, so we enjoyed one together. And he got talking. He has a men's group at Our Lady of Lourdes, and he just said, there's a lot of business owners in that group. It's not the right place to talk business. I said, what if we did a business group that we talked about faith? That's where it was born. It was literally about 3 weeks later. I had to speak at our annual State of De Pere address. It was me, it was the mayor of De Pere, it was the president of St. Norbert College, our executive director of definitely De Pere, and I'm forgetting somebody. So kind of the big community players in our area, and I'm like, I'm going to throw this in there. This is a faith initiative that we're going to pursue.
Yeah.
So I went on record at that point with it, and I'm like, okay, well, now we got to do it. And I put it out there. Looking back, I shouldn't have cared. But I wanted to see what response would have been.
Yeah.
I had a couple positive ones that were kind of interesting to hear that. So in December, we had our first group. I just decided to make this a once-a-month thing where let's just get together and talk faith and business. And that's what I called it at the time, was faith and business. Mm-hmm. It was going to be minimal. I knew it was hard to get people to break away from work for an hour or two. See where it went. We had
Wrong.
Wrong?
You're wrong.
I'm wrong?
You're wrong about the fact that people didn't want to be there. 'Cause
Exactly.
It's your biggest event.
They showed up. That first one was 7 people. I'm like, okay, I'm good with this. But one of the things small group. One of the things we talked about, though, I had somebody message, and they're Jewish, and it was on Facebook, and saw that we were advertising this, and he asked, he's like, am I welcome to come? I said, absolutely. I said, but it's going to be Christian things. And I never did hear from him. He never did show up. And so we talked about that at that first event. And we kind of, are we open to other faiths coming in, non-Christian faiths coming in? And we're like, yeah. But they also need to know we're going to talk about Christian things. Don't get mad when we do that,
right.
And so it was a really, really good discussion. And then somebody finally just said, well, why don't we have multiple groups if that comes up? If a group of Jewish people want to get together and talk about their Jewish faith within business, can the Chamber support that? Absolutely, we'll do that, And all of a sudden, somebody in the back of the room, his name is Craig, he said something about, business in Christ, maybe we should call this group. I'm like, I kind of like that. Kind of sets the tone of what we're talking about, and it's business. I'm like, we're kind of hitting on both things here. So we changed it to be Business with Christ, and to your point, it has grown. It doubled in size going into January, and it's gone up since. And we've had some people come and go. We've had others that are there every single month. We've had small months. We've had big months. We've, depending on what's going on, it's just, I don't care if it's 2 of us in a room talking or if it's 30 of us in a room having the discussion. It's amazing when I can stand up in front of the room, ask a question discussion-wise, or play a video, and then I get to shut up for an hour. And the discussion just keeps going. And as we've seen tears, we've seen laughter. I've been told we've had some non-believers in the group that are attending. I don't know who they are, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. But it's hitting people. We've got people coming from all over the place.
And as I hinted at the beginning of this episode, I mean, this is still just the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just the beginning.
I'm glad you said. Beautiful segue. He did not know this. October 10th, we're going to have our first ever retreat. So we're going to just spend part of a day together. It's going to be at St. Norbert Abbey in De Pere. We're going to have, I think we're 4 speakers we're going to have, and just some good time away from the desk and away from the computer, and let's have a bigger conversation about some of this stuff. And you're going to be talking, I'll be talking that day. I'm hoping to get a couple people from the Norbertines to kind of bring in, biblical history and business. Every apostle was a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it. How did that play out? How does that work? And we are called to work. We're called to be a community. We're called to work together. Sherry last time talking about linking arms. I'm like, we do this in business all the time anyway. Nobody's putting a business lens on this thing, so let's do it.
Yeah.
And I want to see where it goes with the podcast and other events, and where can this thing go? Sky's the limit.
Well, we want to thank you for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
I know you're the guy that likes to say that you get people started and shut up for an hour, and we got to hear from you this time.
Absolutely.
So I'm very grateful for that.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks for being our guest.
You betcha. And again, thank you both for being part of this, because it was definitely something I did not want to do alone, and I'm glad to have a good group around us from the in-person group and this and everything else that's going to be happening. So thank you.
I love it. I hope you enjoyed our first little mini-series of the Builders series. Kyle, would you close us out in prayer?
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, thank you for us being able to get together as a podcast, as a group, and anybody in general. I think it's a huge, huge benefit, and to bring people closer to God is what God tells us to do. So I thank you for that, and there's many, many things that have come together to make this happen, and it's good. It's very good. So, amen.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Business with Christ.